Much has been said, particularly at CNN, about the crowd, the audience in Tampa, Florida, who attended the Ron DeSantis event held by the President of the United States, Donald Trump. As you all know, in Florida, I have endorsed Ron DeSantis for the Republican nomination and for the governorship of Florida. Well, Mark, you live in Virginia. No, I also have a place in Florida. And my parents are in Florida. It means a lot to me. And this guy, Adam Putman, is a fraud. DeSantis is the real deal. That's why I went down there and campaigned for him. I rarely do that. And so CNN is there, and particularly Jim Acosta, who is a reprobate. And the crowd sees CNN, and they see Acosta. And, of course, according to CNN, freedom of the press, that is, freedom of leftists on CNN, trumps freedom of speech. So here's the crowd chanting, CNN sucks. Cut 11, go.
The White House closed out the month of July without holding a briefing for reporters today. That means the White House has held only 3 briefings for the press this month and 8 total since the end of May. There is no other way to describe what the White House is doing these days. Wolf, top officials, including the president, are hiding from the press. And Wolf, just to give you a sense as to what's happening right now, you can hear there is a chorus of boos and other chants from this Trump crowd here in Tampa, Florida. They're saying things like CNN sucks, go home, and fake news. Wolf, obviously, all of those things are false. We're staying right here. We're going to do our job and report on this rally to all of our viewers here tonight. Wolf.
I actually enjoyed that. Can we play that again, Mr. Producer? Cut 11. Go.
The White House closed out the month of July without holding a briefing for reporters today. That means the White House has held only 3 briefings for the press this month and 8 total since the end of May. There is no other way to describe what the White House is doing these days. Wolf, top officials, including the president, are hiding from the press. And Wolf, just to give you a sense as to what's happening right now, you can hear there is a chorus of boos and other chants from this Trump crowd.
No. There's a chorus of CNN sucks. Get it straight. Because CNN does suck. Go ahead.
Go home and fake news. Wolf, obviously, all of those things are false. We're staying right here. We're going to do our job and report on this rally.
Wow, you're so brave, Jim Acosta. Wow. Like you're in a military zone. Oh, you're a brave one, that Jim Acosta, isn't he, ladies and gentlemen? You know, Wolf, we're going to do our job. We're going to stay right here. My God, we're going to put up. Oh, yes, we are, Wolf. Yes, we are. What a schmuck. He's not a reporter. He's an idiot. Jim Acosta. And Sarah Sanders was asked about this today, of course, because the purpose of these press briefings, according to the press, is the press, not the American people, not informing the American people. We already know what they would ask. Hey, what do you think of the Manafort trial? Hey, didn't you obstruct justice with your tweet? Hey, what about this? And shouldn't you go to jail? Shouldn't you go directly to jail? Can't a president be indicted? Hey, tell us. That's your press. Cut 12, go.
First of all, does the president encourage the support of people who showed up last night in these QAnon and Blacks for Trump fringe groups? And secondly, is the White House willing to say right now, in view of what happened with one of
Let's stop here. Was Obama ever asked about encouraging violence? Ever? In Baltimore? Or that town outside of St. Louis? Ever? When the police were shot, was anyone in his administration ever asked if their comments were insufficiently strong in response to these attacks on our cops? No. But this reporter, he's really hyped up. He's got a real frenzy, and he's a real reporter here. And he's not going to be pushed around. He's not going to be bullied. He's going to ask. He wants to get to the bottom of it. Go ahead.
Last night, that it is wrong for his most vocal supporters to be menacing toward journalists doing their jobs in a situation like that or in any situation.
On the first part, the president condemns and denounces any group that would incite violence against another individual, and certainly doesn't support groups that would promote that type of behavior. We've been clear about that a number of times since the beginning.
How come, Mr. Reporter, you didn't ask Ms. Sanders about the attacks on Trump supporters all around the country? How come you didn't ask that, pal? We know why, because you're a clown. Go ahead.
administration. On the second part of your question, the president, as I just said, does not support violence against anyone or anything, and we've been very clear every single time we've been asked about that.
And why are you asking such a stupid question, pal? Go ahead.
Comes to the media, the president does think that the media holds a responsibility. We fully support a free press, but there also comes a high level of responsibility with that. The media routinely reports on classified information and government secrets that put lives in danger and risk valuable.
Now, we know that's true because Obama sicked the FBI on them. Remember that, Mr. Reporter? Maybe you don't remember that. I remember that. The FBI. And you know who was running the FBI at the time, Mr. Producer? Mr. Mueller, as I recall. Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Security tools. This has happened both in our administration and in past administrations. One of the worst cases was the reporting on the U.S. ability to listen to Osama bin Laden's satellite phone in the late 90s. Because of that reporting, he stopped using that phone and the country lost valuable intelligence. Unfortunately, it's now standard to abandon common sense ethical practices. This is a two-way street. We certainly support...
You know, with all due respect, Sarah, you know you're talking to a zombie, right? This is not penetrating his brain, such as it is. It's just not. It's not. He's ready to jump on the next question. None of this is going to get through to him. Go ahead.
Yes, we certainly condemn violence against anybody, but we also ask that people act responsibly and report accurately and fairly.
Sarah, nobody was being violent last night. They were trying to prevent a broadcaster from getting his broadcast out and yelling that his network sucks.
And did they? Did they prevent it? Did anybody tackle the guy? Did anybody harm the guy? Did anybody steal his equipment? No, they shouted at him. Now, that may be uncomfortable. We might not like it, but they may not like it, but that's what they did. He got his broadcast out, and he got his message out. Go ahead.
Right or wrong?
I'm sorry. What was the first part of your question?
I said no one was being violent last night in terms of hitting anybody, and no broadcaster was broadcasting state secrets. They were trying to do stand-ups at a public rally, and you had people...
Stand-ups? What do you mean, like in comedy? Go ahead.
Yell over them, preventing them from doing their jobs, and yelling that their network sucks on live TV.
Look,
does the White House support that or not?
While we certainly support freedom of the press, we also support freedom of speech, and we think that those things go hand in hand.
What do you think of that, pal? You know, there is the First Amendment. There's other parts of the First Amendment. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, the don't establish a religion. I mean, freedom to assemble. There they are assembling, exercising their freedom of speech. Now, I remember when the media used to defend the Nazis who would march down a street in a Jewish community called Skokie in Skokie, Illinois. I got to have freedom of speech. You know, I got to flag burns, freedom of speech. These clowns take a knee, freedom of speech. Freedom of speech all over the place. Freedom of speech. Now, when it comes to manger scenes, get them out of there. When it comes to people shouting at the media, no, what are you against freedom of press? I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
I want to tell Jim Acosta and CNN something. You people really are a joke. For the last several years now, it's been the Trump supporters who've been beaten up by Antifa. The events in San Jose 2 years ago, where a mob took off and pummeled individuals. Women who couldn't defend themselves, young men who couldn't defend themselves, a mob. And you did almost nothing about it. Goes on everywhere. Went on in Hollywood. When some Trump supporters were standing and defending the star that some thug broke with a hammer, they came under attack. The left is extremely violent. It's always been violent. You can look at the anti-war protests. You can look all over the world. But the media in this country, propagandists, demagogues. Jim Acosta doesn't know violence. And I, for one, don't want to see violence. But you see it all the time from the left. CNN hasn't done any serious reporting on this. The rise of the violent left. I remember when they used to accuse us in the Tea Party of being violent. We were never violent. We never did anything violent. We didn't even leave any trash. But that's how they sought to attack us. That's how Obama sought to attack us. Yet we see violence all the time from the left in the cities that the left run. It's just appalling. Free press my ass. I wish we had a free press. I really do. I wish we had a free press rather than these ideological mental midgets who are all about drama and promoting themselves. Let's just be honest. Let us go to James, Pasco, Washington, the great KFLD. Go.
Yeah, Mark, thank you for taking my call. I don't really want to waste your time. I do want to mention that CNN indeed does suck. And they just don't really hold people's feet to the fire. I mean, this Hillary Clinton thing, I mean, she broke the law. And
okay, let's do it this way. I read an article earlier about all the Obama Democrats who now work at CNN. Let me ask you this. Can you think of a single host on CNN who's even you would consider right of center?
None.
None.
I don't even see. I mean, and the people who and I don't like. I'm like you. I don't really care for that. I'm not conservative. I'm constitutional.
Right.
I don't need the government telling me everything. Twice on Sunday.
All right, buddy. The phone connection's terrible, but we got your point. I appreciate you calling, James. Let us continue. Bob, Augusta, Georgia, on the Mark Levin app. Go right ahead, sir.
Mark, thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
I wanted to talk about these kneeling college dropouts in the NFL.
Well, they're not college dropouts. They're college graduates.
No, they're not. Many of them are dropouts. That being said, they have reached their fame through the performance on the field. They've been granted an elite status through their physical ability. And now they're taking a knee and making a political statement throughout. Most of these guys don't know the first word of the Constitution. They've not been educated in any political sphere as we know it. The same goes for actors. But the political left uses them as an example because they're entertainers.
Let me tell you how foolish all these people are, regardless of race, whether it's sports or Hollywood. How ignorant they are. They are prime examples of success in this society. It's not because they're particularly bright, although some of them are. It's not because they're particularly good-looking, although some of them are. They have taken what they have, they've taken advantage of it in a free society, and have become enormously successful. They are examples of the greatness of America.
That's positively right. It goes beyond that. They've been put in a position of leadership because of either athletic ability or performance on the screen. When you are put in a position of leadership, people look at you, whether you know it, whether you believe it or not. People take note.
All right, my friend, I appreciate it. I know you didn't get the finish. I apologize for that, but we have to go. Ladies and gentlemen, we salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, emergency personnel, the Border Patrol, and ICE, and all law enforcement. And I want to say we will see you tomorrow. God bless you.